shortage of IT professionals currently in the US. Not only is there currently a shortage, these numbers are projected to increase in the next few years as our demands for technology grow. The problem is we have a huge shortage, and throughout my career I've noticed a pattern. There are no women in IT. Throughout my career, I've worked largely with teams of men, dominated by men, and I've always been at a loss to understand why this happens, or if there's anything that we can do to actually lessen this. Thinking back to my own experience in college, even these courses were largely dominated by men in the early 2000s. We would have classes of 10 to 15, and there would be maybe 1 or 2 women total. And progressing through my career, I worked on largely teams of solely men, a few women here and there. And then most recently, in my new job role as a teaching instructor at the Silicon STEM Academy, I've noticed this pattern occurring again. We have plenty of bright young boys and girls who join our introductory courses, but then when it comes time for the advanced courses or continuing with some other programming courses, the girls are noticeably absent. They kind of disappear. So this inquiry really will dive into this problem. Why can't we get more women into IT courses and computer science courses? And more specifically, what we can do at the Silicon STEM Academy to help in this effort. Why is this happening in the first place? Why is there such a gap between men and women in the IT industry? The current literature and my research points to a number of different reasons or possible reasons, and I will take a look at investigating these each more. But some things that have been noted as possible reasons are a lack of early access to computers, perceptions of IT careers, a lack of preparation, just in general, the absence of IT career knowledge, a general lack in school offerings, and lacking female role models. These have all been cited as reasons as to why young women do not enter computer science courses. In addition to this, another interesting point of information that I found in my research that may explain some of this gap is actually the involvement in playing of video games. So being a gamer can actually drastically change your perception of computer science. For instance, when a study asked boys to think of words that they associated with computers, they came up with design, games, and video. The girls responded with such responses as typing, maths, and boredom. So there's definitely a major perception issue, especially in young women, about what actually is involved with programming. And this is, a large part of the issue and why they're not getting into computer science courses in the first place. So what has worked in the past, or what can we take a look at for possibly improving this situation? How can we get more women into computer science courses? The existing research and literature points to a few different things that have proven effective, and I think these will be a good jumping off point for our research and what we can actually accomplish at the Silicon STEM Academy. So first of all, getting young women exposure with computers and computer science earlier in their lives tends to lead to greater success in the future. So if we can take a look at introducing computers and computer science courses earlier, possibly before they form these perceptions, I think that would be good. So given this problem, and that given that I am a technology instructor at the Silicon STEM Academy here and have exposure to young people pursuing technology, I think that puts myself and the Silicon STEM Academy in a great position to actually research and try to figure out some solutions or more solutions to this issue. So what can we actually do at the Silicon STEM Academy? So given all of the research and what we've just highlighted as possible things that do work in attracting young women to computer science courses, we will focus on these 6 questions throughout our process in trying to create our courses better and more inviting to young women. So first of all, how do we help change the perception of computer science to young women? Number 2, how do we get young women exposure with computers and computer science earlier in their lives? Number 3, how do we increase female students' expectations for success in computing? Number 4, how do we increase female students' interest in solving challenging problems? Number 5, how do we increase female students' exposure to playful computer-based activities? And number 6, how do we generate encouragement and positive feedback for young women in our courses? So part of the problem with the lack of women in computer science courses is it tends to be a self-feeding issue. Since there aren't enough young women in the computer science courses to begin with, it is difficult to find enough female students to record reliable data of why they're not in those courses. At the Silicon STEM Academy, we have a great opportunity because we are dealing with both students, young students, and young female students, and we actually have an opportunity to figure out, why they may not continue in computer science courses. So the Silicon STEM Academy has this great pipeline of students, and they also have end-of-course polling techniques already built in. So given this, I have created a SurveyMonkey survey with a number of questions based off of our 6 core questions that we've generated, and these surveys will be administered at the end of every course, and basically anytime we can elicit responses from female students, namely the JavaScript 101 and JavaScript 201 are introductory coding classes. So this survey, it will collect data about the young women's perceptions and attitudes towards programming. We'll attempt to answer the core research questions generated by this inquiry, and we'll include questions on what we can do better at the Silicon STEM Academy and as instructors to help address these issues and perceptions. The data will be analyzed by the leadership team and myself using the analytical tools provided by the software, and we will focus on an iterative approach based on our core research questions and basically our gut feeling that if we are getting good solid data that is leading to the answer of those questions, or if we're essentially, are we getting better?